Earlier today, the New York Jets made the decision to part ways with Davante Adams after bringing him in this year to pair alongside Aaron Rodgers, and now Rodgers is not going to be in the Jets. Davante isn't. It looks like Allen Lazard is also going to be gone. So the whole experiment with taking, former Packers players did not work out for the New York Jets. But now it's going to get very interesting to see where Davante Adams ends up. And there is a chance, you can decide in your own mind what percent chance you think it is. There's a chance that Davante Adams ends up back in Green Bay. I think the biggest factor here is clearly how much money does he want to make, and do the Packers want to pay him that kind of money? So I was looking up on Spotrac, and they show a lot of information regarding contracts, and they had a prediction on there looking at similar receivers at similar points in their career to Davante Adams. With Davante, he's now 32 years old. They looked at other receivers around that age, 30 to 32-ish, a few other guys who were maybe at the same caliber as Davante at this point in his career. And they currently have him projected at a 2-year deal valued at $13.6 million per year. So $13.6 million per year would make Davante on a per year basis the 28th highest paid receiver in the NFL. And so if I was Brian Gutekunst, if I was the GM of the Packers, and Davante Adams at 32 years old was available for $13.6 million per year, I would do it. I think at $13.6 million, it is a very reasonable type of contract, reasonable amount of money to pay Davante Adams at his point in his career at $13.6 million. Now, if it started pushing up to like 18 to 20, I think that's slightly too much in my opinion, just because he is 32 years old. We don't know how much longer he's going to be playing at a top tier level. I still think he's playing really good football. Probably not quite as good as some of his later years in his 20s, but he still put up 1,000 yards with the Raiders, with the Jets. And there is no doubt in my mind that if Davante came to Green Bay, you get consistency. You get a guy who knows what he's doing. You get a veteran presence in the locker room. You get a guy who already knows Matt LaFleur's scheme, and so that's not going to be a problem. And so there are a lot of reasons that I do like the idea of Davante Adams coming back to Green Bay. The biggest thing is the price. If it's $13 to $15 million, I think that's a reasonable amount to pay Davante Adams. And so the question the Packers have to ask themselves is, do they want to bring in Davante for more of a short-term type answer, maybe 1 to 2 years? Or do they want to spend that same money they would spend on Davante on a younger receiver, someone like a T. Higgins if they wanted to trade for him, someone like a DK Metcalf if they wanted to trade for him? Those guys would be more expensive, probably more in the 25 to 30. I mean, T. Higgins is probably close to 30-ish. 25 to $35 million range. Do you want to pay a guy at that level, which is obviously going to be more expensive than Davante Adams? Or do you want to, spend that money on Davante and have some more money to spend elsewhere? So it's sort of like the short-term decision versus maybe a longer-term decision. If you traded for a DK Metcalf, then you are getting a guy who will probably be with you for, 3-4 years, maybe 5 years because of where, his age and where he is in his NFL career. So that's a decision Gutekunst has to decide. And there was one thing that, I've read it in the past few days, a quote from Gutekunst, where he brought up in one of his post-season press conferences that when you look at lots of teams who end up, going far in the playoffs and having that ultimate playoff success, a lot of them don't have like a receiver who's sort of hogging all the targets. That's what he said. And so that there have been different things that make me wonder, does Gutekunst really want to spend up on a veteran receiver? I could very easily see him wanting to spend like, $5 to $10 million on a cheaper veteran option out there. And so I don't think necessarily the Packers are going to spend up big on a big name like a Davante, but it's definitely it very well could happen. The question also becomes, does Davante want to come back to Green Bay? I've seen some things that he wants to go play on the West Coast. Is that really where he wants to go? Is he trying to follow Aaron Rodgers again? Would he welcome coming back to Green Bay? How much money does he want to make? Would he go somewhere else if they offered him more money? Or is he looking more for a really good, championship type, possibility, where I feel like with Green Bay, that's a very good team. And I think Davante can definitely recognize that if he came onto the Green Bay Packers, that's a team that would be able to compete for a Super Bowl going into 2025. So it's going to be interesting to watch in the next couple of weeks what happens. And I think it would just be a great way for Davante Adams' career to end back in Green Bay, back where it all started. Yeah, I still got my Davante Adams jersey sitting in my closet, so that would be nice. Can throw that one back on if he comes back to Green Bay. So I think it would be a very good. It would be an awesome reunion to have with Davante coming in. Maybe play a year, 2 more years, then retire as a Packer. I feel like that could be. I mean, that would be a great situation. If the Packers won the Super Bowl with Davante coming back, could you imagine just going out like that if you're Davante Adams? That's probably the best case scenario. If you're Davante, to win it all with Green Bay, I think that would be awesome to see. So we'll see if Gutekunst really wants to do it. Maybe because he already parted ways with Davante, he doesn't want to bring him back. Once again, I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case. But at the same time, I definitely think there's a non-zero chance of Davante Adams ending his career in Green Bay. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.